But the avatar-based research games, or ABRGs, I would think that these would probably be the most expensive type to make, but I would say certainly the most popular and would have the most scope for research, I would say as well. You could ask your respondent to create an avatar. Depending on the research, you could ask them to develop it in their own self-image or in a fantasy image. The avatar that they've created would be placed in a number of different situations. So it would look like a computer game. The respondent would move the avatar around in their environment, and data could be collected about what they do and how they do it. So there's just some screenshots there. You know, you could put your avatar in, a new iPhone concept store, for example, if your client was Apple, and testing what your respondents think about the new store layout. You could be a tourist board and ask the respondent to sort of go to the sites they would like to see the most in any given destination, and then data would be collected on that, much like a video game. Gaming as the incentive. So here you've got a donut game, quite a popular donut game called Rat on the Run, and this is something that's available on the iPhone. And with this kind of game, you could play, reach a level, go back into a survey. Obviously, I don't think it should be as sort of boring as this screenshot here, but then that acts the incentive, so they will fill out the survey and then go back into the game. Right, you've got questions as mini-games, or QAMs, sorry. These would act as elaborate flash tools, essentially. I mean, flash tools at the moment are more interactive than they've ever been before. So here you've got a couple of examples that I've pulled together. If your end client was McDonald's, you could ask your respondent to shoot the items off the menu that they've never tried before. Or it could be a hair gel brand, and you ask the little guy to move around, picking his favourite type of hair gel, the one he's used more often. So these are elaborate flash tools, and these are things that I think people could use right now because the software is there, the technology is there, and I think the experience is there in market research as well to develop something like these pretty soon. Social media-based research games, or SMRGs. Social media, as we've heard today, is hugely important, and Farmville hit 80 million users. Well, that's quite an old statistic. I think it's 90 million now. So you could ask the respondent to take part in a survey, and they would be rewarded, a gift for the farm, or indeed if it was Mafia World or Caféville, whatever it is now, and they could that would act as their incentive, and they could use it in this environment. It could also go a lot further than that. If your client was a UK housing association or council, building an environment in the similar way that you build something like Farmville could be very, very insightful. You could ask people to build a fantasy neighbourhood, a fantasy village. So if you were a council or housing association, that could be really useful. Again, using a sort of a restaurant franchise end client example, you could ask the respondents to build a restaurant that they would like to go to, or something like that. I mean, if you can just imagine that the virtual environments here are blank canvases, you could ask your respondents to build anything. So I touched on this before. What if the way you play can tell a company more about you as a respondent? And I'll use a video as an example of this. What you'll see next is the Xbox Connect, but before it was the Xbox Connect, it was known as Project Natal, and Microsoft put this video on YouTube and on their website where people could see sort of what the capabilities could be of the Xbox Connect when it was released, or Project Natal it was known at the time. And yeah, I'll just show you that now.
Play.
Okay, it's Sarah. Hey, so did you get a dress for the party yet? No. Oh my gosh, it's in a week. Here, you have to see what I found for you. That's the one.
And they could sort of pick a colour for it, similar to what you can do with Grand Theft Auto, pick a model and take it from there. The second clip was the young girl choosing a dress with her friends. Again, that could be huge if your client was a fashion designer, for example, a major fashion house, Gucci, whoever, and they wanted to test what the most popular dresses or shoes were in their line. You could have respondents try things on exactly in that way because that technology exists, and they could walk around, see how it looks on them, and yeah, that would be very telling for your client. You could also be a hairdresser, stylist, accessories designer, whatever it could be. The scope there for you to be able to try something on and view it on yourself is very interesting. And also in there, she's able to talk to her friend through the TV as well. If that was a market research sort of forum and it was monitored, you could have that conversation going on and it could be recorded and played back to your client. The third clip, there was two families in two different houses playing together, competing on a game show video game. Again, for research purposes, that would save so much money on venues, that would save so much money on travel fares if you could have your respondents in the comfort of their own home, and you could have sort of a game show host or a moderator asking questions and they could participate in that way. So that's very exciting as well. So some of our research, just some highlights. I do have a host of raw data on this, and the survey, the actual questions we asked and the raw data and some of the highlights are in the paper if you would be interested to read it. But we asked the 492 respondents, would you ever consider playing a game that, while you're playing it, data was being collected on how you play and what you do in the game itself, which was then used for research purposes. 77% said yes. You might be thinking, did they really understand the concept? We actually gave a couple of examples within the survey itself. So I mentioned the whole thing about, if it was a tourist board and that example. And yeah, so 77% said yes. 84% said they would recommend a research game to their friends or family if they were fun and or educational. And just under 68% said they would expect a reward or incentive for playing a research game. You would think that with research at the moment, I know that there's a lot of companies out there that don't incentivise respondents and they still take part. But even though I'm sort of going against that statistic there, I really do think that if the research games were that fun and engaging, kind of like the video clip there, they wouldn't maybe expect a research game. I think if they were in the environment and understood it, I know sort of 68% said that they would, but I really do think if it was fun to do an educational, as I say, that the fun would be the incentive to do it, that playing the game would be the incentive to do it. But yeah, I think it's up to us as an industry to look at this. If there's some companies out there that have got some spare cash and they think they could develop a research game and test it, then that could be huge because you're pioneering something new and offering your clients something a little bit different. I'll just round it up very quickly. You've always got to summarise in these things. So research games and research gaming can be a viable and long-lasting methodology. It's something that can constantly evolve. Gaming has constantly been evolving over the last decades. Opportunities for further development and innovation, higher respondent engagement and potentially higher response rates. Market research will become more relevant. Market research has taken some severe cuts in the recession. The gaming industry hasn't. So market research could become more relevant. And of course, it's fun. And I think it would be fun for us in the market research industry to work with gaming developers or even have in-house gaming developers and do stuff like this. Thank you very much.